everyone, and welcome back. Today we are going to go ahead and seed start one of my favorite annuals, and that is Gomphrena. So believe it or not, this gorgeous Gomphrena I actually harvested from my farm share this fall. It was either end of September or beginning October. I cut a bunch, I hung them upside down, and then I went ahead and saved them and put them in this, and they have been this beautiful pink ever since I cut them, and they're just in my kitchen and I cannot get enough of them. So I'm going to make sure that this year I have a bunch of them. If you're new here, welcome. Hi, my name is Kristy. I am located in Massachusetts, zone 6A, and my average last frost date is May 15th. And just a little reminder, it did get moved up to May 10th. So I'm just going ahead and kind of bumping things up 1 week. So I'm kind of going off May 10th, May 15th. So give or take, we are going to be at anything that needs 8 or more weeks. If anything says 6 to 8 weeks, I kind of just wanted to go ahead and get it started now so then I could go ahead and have time to harden them off when it starts to get warmer out. So Gomphrena, I have been waiting for this day. I went a little overboard and purchased a lot of different seeds, and I actually could harvest some of these. So when it is time to go ahead and harvest them, all you do is pluck the dry layer off at the bottom, and then you can go ahead and save them for seed starting. So that's what I plan on doing this year. I'm going to go ahead and get a lot of the more cream tones and pinks and purples. Those are actually going to go ahead and be at the school that I work at as a nice border. And then I got some for my house. I did the Johnny seeds. I did the Audrey pink and white because those ones get longer and are also better for flower cutting. So we have a lot to get started, so I hope you're ready to go. So the reason why I wanted to go ahead and seed start a bunch of these again is because I really want to go ahead and save some for drying, such as arrangements like these. I want to go ahead and get some vases. I have so many mason jars. I have been saving them because we go through a lot of spaghetti sauce here. And I want to go ahead and make sure that like every room has some dry flowers, especially like our bedroom. We have cats that like to eat everything. So if I can go ahead and save some and keep them up here, I'm super excited, especially at work. We love to display flowers. So a little bit about seed starting Gomphrena. It takes anywhere from 7 to 14 days to germinate. So again, I'm gonna go ahead and put a lot of them in these 6 cell trays. I do have a 40 cell pack. I'm going to go ahead, and that is going to be for the Audrey pink and white because those ones are going to be larger. I'm going to have those in their own and be starting more. I'm going to use these more as borders along our land line, like so our property line, I guess I should say, kind of like a big hedge because they do get tall. And when I saw them on the Johnny website, it did say that they don't need support, so I'm hoping they don't. But I want to go ahead and get a lot of them around my hydrangeas on one side, and then on the other side I do have a lot of Rebecca. So I'm not sure which color I'm going to plant where, but I'm going to go ahead and get a lot of them started. Once you go ahead and get them started, you're going to want to go ahead and get them on a heat mat. They need to be anywhere around 75 degrees or so. So I'm going to have them with my salvia as well. So I'm going to keep it at 75 degrees. A lot of them say it can get up to 78 degrees or 80 degrees. Luckily, that's good for me because once it gets the sunlight in this room with the large windows, it does get fairly warm. And sometimes it can say that the soil temperature is around 79 degrees once the heat starts coming in. A lot of the back of the seed packets say 6 to 8 weeks. So we're going to do it around the 8-week mark, kind of like 9 weeks. Again, I plan on starting things a little bit earlier. I just want to go ahead and make sure that they have a chance because where I live, there are a lot of slugs, and I do plan on planting some again at the preschool that I work at. So when I do go ahead and start these, it says they need to be about 1/8 of an inch pressed into the soil. It doesn't say anything about light for germination. So if you don't have any seed starting light, no worries. You can go ahead and just put them on a heat mat. Again, you want to make sure it stays moist. I like to go ahead and check my seeds every morning before I leave for work and spray them with my spray bottle. And then I go ahead and check them every night before I go to bed and once the kids are in bed. And I miss them again, especially because the heat mat is going to be so warm. You want to just make sure that none of the little cells dry out. Sometimes I notice that like the ends will dry out a little bit more. So those ones I make sure I go ahead and give an extra few sprays. When you are planting out your Gomphrena, you want to make sure that they have a lot of sun. They do prefer direct sunlight. Now, the Johnny seed ones, when I checked on the back of the seed packet and online, it says that they do not need to be pinched and they do not need to be supported. So they're going to go ahead and just bush out. I remember at my farm share, I hope I have a picture, but if not, that's okay. they would just start off very little, and by the fall, it was just like this huge mound and sea of whites, pinks, and purples, and they were beautiful. So this one right here is a shorter variety. I want to say it might go up to, say, my calf, like definitely underneath the height of my knees, and I'm only 5'3". But the Audrey ones, they said that they're going to go ahead and get at least 2 to 3 feet tall. So that's what I'm excited about, especially for cut flower arrangements. Another thing that I saw on the back of the seed packet is it does say that you can go ahead and pre-soak these if you choose to do so for 24 hours. I am not pre-soaking anything just because I never know when I'm able to go ahead and get things started. Again, I do all of my seed starting at nap time. So again, welcome to another round of seed starting during nap time. Let's get started before the kids wake up. First, we're gonna go ahead and get seed starting the ones from Johnny Seeds. Now, when I go ahead and do my plant tags, I like to go ahead and mark where I got everything from. So I might just abbreviate SeedCult, which is actually where I got a lot of the shorter varieties, and then my taller ones I got from Johnny Seeds. That way I know where to go ahead and label them later on. I like to get these little seed packets, which I plan on doing for the fall to go ahead and harvest my own seeds. Now, what's really cool with Gomphrena is I actually just had a few fall off. Each little petal actually is an individual seed. So if you let each seed head go ahead and dry out, you can go ahead and harvest them, and then each petal again has a seed. So when you go ahead and get them from a Johnny Seeds or anywhere else, they actually remove the petal, and I don't know if you can see them, but they are teeny tiny. But I've also heard you could go ahead and just leave the petal on if you don't feel like going ahead and taking everything off. It'll just go ahead and hopefully just degrade over time, and you won't have to worry about it. I also do plan on going ahead and winter sowing. I did get about 2 packets of every type of color, I should say, from SeedCult. So I'm going to go ahead and do one with seed starting indoors, and then I'm going to go ahead and do some winter sowing at the end of March when it starts to warm up a little bit. And just, I kind of want to compare and see how they do. So let's get going with our indoor seed starting. If you are new, what I like to do is just go ahead and give you a quick little rundown on how I go ahead and get my seed soil going. So I use seed starting mix. It does not have any nutrients. You don't have to go ahead and use this. I just prefer it because I really like how light and fluffy it is. That way the roots don't have anything to kind of develop up against, and it's not as heavy. And you could also just go ahead and get some potting soil and always add some more perlite to it. I love to do that with my garden beds, and anytime I pot up, I'll just go ahead and get some Pro Mix and add a little bit more perlite to it as well. So what I'm gonna do is I have my 40 cells, and I'm just gonna go ahead and fill them up. So again, what you wanna do is just make sure when you squeeze it that there's no water droplets coming out, but it still goes ahead and holds its form. I know that kind of seems a little bit redundant, but if you don't, happen to see my earlier videos and you're just finding me, which is awesome, thank you for tuning in, I will just always go ahead and just do a quick little rundown. Just hopefully it'll just help you out, because you're gonna wanna go ahead and press these in after. I like to make sure that everything is nice and compacted. There's no air bubbles or pockets in there. I don't want my smaller seeds especially to get lost, especially when you start bottom watering. I actually had that happen a few times before where I thought I pressed all the cells in and I didn't. And then when I would start to bottom water, they started caving in. And instead of being nice and full for each cell for the soil, they actually were like about half as full. And I was like, oh, guess I missed that one when I was seed starting. So it does happen, but again, I like to go ahead, and that's why sometimes I will triple and maybe even quadruple check. So once I get started, I would like to just go ahead and even it out, give it a quick little run through. These ones say to be pressed, so I'm not gonna worry too much about having everything up to the top like as if it was a smaller seed. So that looks about good to me. So this is what it'll look like in the end. We're gonna go ahead and get started with our Johnny seed, and we're gonna do pink first. It says you get a minimum of 50 seeds. So I'm going to go ahead and fill 20. And what I'll do is I probably will just put 2 in one. And that way, in case if one doesn't germinate, hopefully the backup will. And then I always don't mind potting up. And what I also did was this past week is I went to the dollar store, and for $1.25 you could get 12 3-inch pots. And yes, they're probably not gonna be super sturdy, but for right now as a beginner gardener, I don't wanna go ahead and spend a ton, especially because I already spent a lot on seeds and lights for my potting up. I wanna make sure that I can just use whatever I can. So definitely check out your local Dollar Tree for that. All right, the seeds are fairly small, so I'm just gonna go ahead and put one in each one, and then I'm gonna go back and fill in the second one. I know I should probably just go ahead and save it for next year, but I don't know. I just sometimes don't want to risk it. So I'm gonna go ahead and put, oh, I guess someone has two. And I like to try and get my seed right in the middle. I'm gonna go ahead and do my best to not drop so many in at once. And when I put them in, I try and get them in the middle or on opposite corners, just so that way they have plenty of space to grow. All right, so I got about, I wanna say probably 2 in those. So that's to go ahead and save a handful of seeds, but I really do want a good amount of these for my front yard. All right, so now we're gonna go ahead and do, oh my goodness, yeah, that was the pink. So now we're gonna do the way I thought I mixed them up. I was like, oh my gosh, Kristy, come on. Okay, so now we're gonna go ahead and do the white, and then I'll get the next set up for you guys, and then we're gonna go ahead and speed things along. Oh my gosh. Okay, so I definitely have way more white seeds than I did with the pink one. It does say a minimum of 50, so yeah, definitely gonna go ahead and get 2 in each one. And I really hope that you're finding these videos helpful. If you don't mind letting me know in the comments if they're too long or if I'm taking too long to explain things, especially as a beginner gardener. I feel like I just am trying to make sure I can help anyone that is new like me, because I watched, I kid you not, hundreds of YouTube videos for gardening. I was really determined to go ahead and learn how to do this, not have to rely on my farm share, because even though I do love it so much, it became really hard sometimes when we were busy to find time to go there, or if I couldn't go, I would have to find someone else to go for me, and I would lose out on it, or if it was like raining outside, it wasn't as fun for the kids. So I'm like, okay, I have to do this on my own so I can do it at my own time, and my kids can enjoy it more. And look where we are now. All right, so these are all set. I'm gonna go ahead after and put the vermiculite on with all of them, and then go ahead and take the spray bottle and water them down, and we'll do that all at the end. Now we're gonna go ahead and work on our 6 cell count. I probably could go ahead and fill another 40 cell, but I really wanna save some for more of my perennials. So if anything, I'll just do a little bit of these, and then I'm just gonna go ahead and do more for my winter sowing. I have so many milk jugs. Again, definitely check out my winter sowing videos. And if you need to go ahead and get milk jugs for them, definitely call up your local Starbucks or say Dunkin' Donuts or local coffee shop, because I had a colleague who works at Starbucks, and the sweet thing saved probably about 15 to 20 of them. She said in a matter of 2 to 3 hours. She rinsed them out, put them in garbage bags, and then brought them to work for me. And she said it was super simple. So definitely go ahead and make sure you contact them. Or I also had this wonderful lady in town who has 5 kids, and she was actually able to go ahead and save them up for 2 weeks, and then I would go pick them up, and then I told her I would give her some flowers afterwards as a huge thank you. So I have so many, because I want to go ahead and do more of my annuals later, especially ones that I have for my school, so they're not taking up too much of my racks. So I'm going to do a lot more winter sowing for annuals soon. All right, so again, you're going to have your 6 cell. You're going to go ahead and compact it down. So I like these because I can actually see the roots. It's good to know if they need to be potted up. Once you see the roots spiraling, they just don't have any more soil to go ahead and, grow in. So you're going to want to go ahead and pot them up. Again, I went to the Dollar Tree, and for $1.25, I got 12 3-inch pots. Good enough for me. Go ahead and put some potting soil in there, and then plug these in, and they should be good to go for the remainder of the time before you go ahead and plant them outdoors. So I have this. I'm going to go ahead and do my, let's see, we'll do a SeedCult one, and I have Carmine. So that is going to be this one. So this is Carmine right here. I never know which way to go ahead and move that on the camera. And they had Carmine, they had purple, And I believe they had white all at my farm share. So I'm just gonna make sure, again, make sure you mark your plants. It's good to know. And today is also March 8th. So if you also haven't seen what I'm planting in March, I have that. I kind of separate everything by weekend. So I'm trying to get so much done per weekend because, again, I can only do seed starting while my little one is napping. All right, so this is what it's going to look like from SeedCult. So it's actually pretty good. I'm going to go ahead again and just put 2 in each one. They do say that they go ahead and branch out a lot. So you want to actually space them anywhere from 6 to 12 inches apart. So I will definitely have extras of these. So again, what I like to do is I like to go ahead and plant them on opposite corners. I'm not sure if I can go ahead and show you, but actually maybe what I'll do is for the next one, I'll just give you a different view so you can see what it looks like. So 2 in each, and then I go ahead and just kind of like gently press them down. There we go. And then we're gonna cover them with vermiculite afterwards. I just wanted you to be able to see. So there they are, and I did press them in lightly. And then afterwards, we're gonna go ahead and get them under some vermiculite. And again, they do not need light to germinate. So let's get these going and we're gonna move things a little bit faster now. Okay, so now we have all of our Gomphrena ready to go. All we have to do now is just add some vermiculite on top and go ahead and spray them in with the spray bottle. They do not need light to germinate, so you can go ahead and add a good layer of vermiculite. And then again, you're gonna go ahead and put them on the heat mat around 70 to 75 degrees. And then hopefully in about a week or 2, these will go ahead and germinate. Now, I did, and I always actually, tend to overseed. So you can go ahead and pot them up, or you can go ahead, like what I did with some of my echinacea plants is I planted 2, and then I would actually go ahead and just pluck out the stronger of the 2 and put it in its own little cell tray. So then that way I wasn't having to go ahead and pot all of them up. So say if I had 40 cells and then I went ahead and put 2 in each, whenever I saw 2 grow, I would just take the strongest one once it had its first set of true leaves, and I would just pot it up into its own. I did the same thing with hollyhocks too. I'd plant 2 or 3, kind of just to go ahead and save some space right now because I am starting so much. And I figured if I can just go ahead and have them last as long as I can in here, then I should be good until I get some more of my lights set up. So I just have a nice little project again to get some more lights going. All right, so this looks pretty good. The ones that I did get from seed swapping was the raspberry cream, and they actually still had some of the leaf, or I should say actually the petals still intact, which is what I plan on doing when I go ahead and harvest them myself. I don't plan on going ahead and picking out every single seed because that would take so much time. So again, we're gonna take our spray bottle and we're just gonna go ahead and mist everything in. And we're about to be good to go. I have been waiting for this week, I kid you not, for so long. I still have tomato seeds to go ahead and still pot up. I need to pot up some of my perennials still, and it's just like nonstop going. And again, I just work at nap time or when the kids are sleeping, and sometimes I am just too tired to do so. All right, these are all set. I'm gonna go ahead and put these on the heat mat, and then we're gonna go ahead and wrap it up. Alrighty everyone, and thank you so much for joining me for another round of seed starting. Again, we did Gomphrena. It is one of my favorite annuals. It makes a great cut flower for drying. You can go ahead and just hang it upside down for a few weeks, and then you can go ahead, cut it to whatever length you want for your vase, and you will have blooms, as you can see, all year round. And these are so pretty. They still have that great pink. I did probably harvest these a little bit too later in the season, but that's okay. I am still learning. So again, thank you so much for joining me. If you could go ahead and click like and subscribe and hit that bell button, you will go ahead and get notifications for all of my new seed starting and any update that I have. Pretty soon, in a few months, we're gonna go ahead and get everything out in the ground. So thanks for joining me and see you next time. Bye.